Hello. How is everyone doing today? You can take yourself off mute. I think we're going to give everyone about 5 minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll just kind of chit chat here for a minute. Maybe I'll ask an interesting question like, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? What's your favorite ice cream? I want to know. You can either take yourself off mute and tell me, or you can put it in the chat. Kind of curious here. Well, I'll tell you mine. I went and I got s'mores ice cream last week. It was really good. They had graham cracker and some chocolate chunks, and it was really tasty. I really, really enjoyed it. All right, we're gonna wait just one more minute and then I'm gonna go ahead and start because I know everyone's time is precious. Oh, I see some answers coming in though. Praline and caramel, Rocky Road, salted praline. You have good taste. This is some good ice cream. I like it. Very nice. Very, very nice. In case you're wondering, I just asked what everyone's favorite ice cream flavor was. That's what I'm talking about. Rocky Road. Ice cream is my favorite dessert. You can't go wrong with ice cream. You can get any flavor that you want. If you want fruity ice cream or chocolatey, it's a good deal. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll start my presentation. This is being recorded, so if you need to go back and rewatch, you'll have time to do that. So let's go ahead and jump to it. Let me just get my stuff set up here. Cool. Well, if you're here, it's because you are interested in digital art design. You're either signed up for the class and you have some more questions, or maybe you're on the fence here. So some of you might have already seen the beginning of this presentation that I gave another time, but I'm just going to go over a little bit about myself. So I'm Christelle Fox. I have 4 kiddos, all girls, and I just love them. They're so much fun. I love children. I also have an art studio out of my house where I teach kids art, kids between 5 and 12 years old. I'm also a watercolor and digital artist. I've also been a youth mentor for teens for a company called The Journey. I was a previous art director, graphic designer, and illustrator for The Mindful Heart. And I love to teach. I love art. And for my family, we have done the homeschool thing. We've done charter school. We've done public school. And currently we'll be homeschooling my 2 youngest this coming year. My oldest is 18, which is hard to believe. And then the next one's 14, and she's doing her own thing in public school. I've had a lot of people ask me about what is required for the course. So it is a Photoshop course, but it's specifically geared towards art, using Photoshop for art. So you do need to have access to Photoshop. If you happen to live in Utah and you happen to use My Tech High, you can get Photoshop for free. I'm not familiar with all the different little like other programs, homeschool programs, but there might be something like that if you are part of a program like that. So you might want to look into that. You'll also need a smartphone camera or a scanner because we need a way to get the physical art onto the computer. And you also need a laptop or a desktop computer with a mouse. The reason for this is Photoshop is a really robust program, and a tablet is just not going to cut it. It won't work well for what we're doing. And you want a mouse because it's a lot easier to grab the tools that you need with a mouse instead of a trackpad. So I just use my little handy dandy wireless mouse here. And art supplies of your choice. So whatever you like to create art in, if you use acrylic or watercolor, or you like to sketch, or you like to use colored pencil, whatever you like to use, you want to have that. I also really recommend an external hard drive of 1 terabyte or higher. that's just going to keep the laptop running at its best, because the Photoshop files can get pretty big, especially if you're on a family computer or something like that. This will prevent anyone else from getting a little bit frustrated if you put all your files on the computer. So this just highly recommended. And then an optional drawing tablet. Let me grab mine so you can kind of see. So it's not like an iPad. So an iPad, which I have both here, let me grab. So an iPad, you draw in here, like you have a little stylus, right? And like everything that you draw is right in your iPad, but a drawing tablet, this is mine here, and then it has a stylus as well. Oh, right here we go. You draw on the tablet, but it shows up on your computer screen. So it can get a little bit, like it can take a minute to get used to using. You don't have to have it. You absolutely do not have to have it. When I first was creating art in Photoshop, I just used my mouse, but some people want to know like, what's everything that you use? So there you go. There's a little bit about that. So for this class, I've broken it down into basically 3 main components. So first is learning the tech. So we have to learn how to use Photoshop and the tools so that we can enhance our artwork. So that's going to be the first main part of the course. Like I said, Photoshop is really robust, and you can feel kind of lost when you're opening it up for the first time. So this will give us a chance. We're going to go through it, and this is very beginner friendly. Like, we're going to open up Photoshop for the first time for probably most of you, and that's how I've set it up. So I'm just taking it one step at a time, so you don't have to be, you know, nervous or worried about it. So that's the first part, is learning the tech. And then we're going to design in collections. So we're going to design whole pieces of artwork, like different groups of artwork that go together in a cohesive manner. And we're going to learn how to use your own personal story, your own inspiration to create those collections. And then the last part is learning how to give and receive feedback. I feel like that's really important, especially with artists. You're putting yourself out there, you know, maybe you're feeling like, wow, this is like my most favorite thing. And it can be hard to show your work and then to get feedback. So not only are you going to learn how to get feedback, but you're also going to know how to give feedback. So I've also got, if you're interested, and actually I'll just put this in, I'll put it in the chat before we go, but I have the 34 or 32 week syllabus. So you guys can see week by week what we're planning on doing. Now that may change as we get into the course. I really want to be able to tailor it to the specific class. So if we need to spend a little bit more time in one area, or we need to, you know, move on a little bit, then I want to be able to tweak it as necessary. But the syllabus will give you a really good idea of the ins and outs of what we're going to be doing. But I've got this little syllabus example on the side just so you can kind of see what we're going to be doing. Again, we're going to learn Photoshop. We're going to learn how to edit the artwork. We're also going to be doing pattern design, which might not sound super exciting, but once you learn how to do it, it's going to blow your mind. You can learn how to do an endless repeat pattern. So what that means is no matter like how big it is, it will continue to repeat seamlessly forever and ever. It's super cool. So something about this course that makes it a little bit unique. I know it says digital art design. So a lot of people think, well, you know, am I just going to be in front of the computer the whole time, or is my kid going to be in front of the computer the whole time? The answer is no. I wanted to design a course that would really encourage people to be making art by hand. I want people to spend the time just exploring their creativity with the different art mediums that they really enjoy using. So half of the class is going to be creating that by hand. Now, I won't be teaching you or telling you exactly what to create. We'll have some guidelines, but I really want you to be able to go with your inspiration. And then from there, once you have the tech knowledge, then we can jump into Photoshop and learn how to enhance that artwork. So if you can see, I've got these 3 watercolor paintings that I did, and they're pretty big. And I was just kind of messing around, and I didn't really love the colors too much, but I was like, okay, I can do something with this because I really liked how the bleeds turned out, but I just wasn't loving the color. So I was able to put it into Photoshop, and I was able to turn it into these 3 digital wallpapers. So this kind of gives you an idea that you can take your artwork and you can turn it into so many things. So I kind of also wanted to show you kind of a breakdown of how we get to that process. So on the left here, I said step 1, create. The first thing you have to do is make some art. So this is an example of an ocelot that I painted, and then some flowers that I did. And then you can see I've also got these other black watercolor shapes that I painted, and leaves and other things. So I scanned them into my computer, and then I digitized them and edited them. And then I was able to come up with this composition here that you see on the right. Now, once you've got your composition made, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. So you get to start imagining. You can think about, like, where can I put this? Like, where would this design go in the real world, in the wild? So these are just mock-ups here that I did. So these aren't actually created, but the students will also, you guys will also learn how to create mock-ups, which is really fun because it gets you thinking, wow, oh, maybe I can start a t-shirt shop, or maybe I can, make a special notebook for my sister or whatever. You can make your own greeting cards. But you can see I've taken this same design and I've been able to apply it to all these different spaces. And it's just such a fun thing to be able to think about, like, where could your art go in the real world? So step 4 is to make. So the last one, that was some mock-ups, and here are some examples of things I've made in real life. So on the left, I designed a card game for another company. And so it was really fun to see all of these illustrations come together, and then, like, to get the physical card game was really cool. I've also made some stickers of my work. In the middle here, I wanted to create a nativity for kids, but like it would be okay because we know little children kind of like break things. This would make it so it would be okay. So it's just digital copies that I created and then printed and laminated so the kids can play with them. And I've got several of these different kind of storyboards that I've made. And then on the right is just an illustration that I did for a book. So you can just start thinking about how your art can live, like, really anywhere. So you have so many possibilities. Once you get your art from your paper or your canvas and you get it into Photoshop, and you digitize it, there's literally endless possibilities. I just put some down here to kind of get your wheels turning, but you could do games, you can do puzzles, you can do art prints, you can do stickers, you can do fabric, you can do tea towels, bedding, shirts, notebooks, logos, images for websites. Like, I have a website for my art studio, and I was able to create all of the images that I needed for the website. I drew them out, I scanned them in, and then I was able to change the colors to what I wanted and put them on my website, created my logo that way. And again, these are just some ideas. there's so many other things that you can do once you've got it into Photoshop. And I wanted to share a little bit of the vision of the course. So I know there's been a lot of talk about AI art. You've probably seen it because they just can't get the hands right. Whenever you see AI art, their hands are all funky. It's a little bit crazy. But my vision for the course is to keep art human. And I think that that's really important because I feel that art is what makes us human. And when you are able to learn these skills in Photoshop, you're going to be able to share your art in lots of ways and to more people. And I feel that whatever kind of art that you make, you know, it can be fine art, it can be doodles, it can be, you know, really simple art. Like I feel like I have more of an illustrative style, but all of that creates joy, it inspires other people. So there's a place for you. There's a place for your art in the world. And that is my vision for the course, is that you can have the skills to be able to bring that art however you want, in whichever way you want. It's going to be a really fun year. So that's just a quick overview of the course. I want to open it up to questions you might have. So let me just stop sharing my screen. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
I have a question. So I missed like the first 10 minutes, so I don't know if you already covered this, but I was wondering how, what software we need, what, like, is it better to have like a pen or a tablet? Like what technology do we need, and how do we, and just do a subscription based for
Yeah.
Photoshop?
That's a great question. Yeah, so Photoshop, you'll want to have Photoshop CC. So that's Creative Cloud. It's a subscription based. Using older versions of Photoshop, it's not going to work for the course just because they're are always doing updates. And then what you see me do in the videos, it won't match what you're seeing if you have an older version. So this is a great question. Thank you so much, Sarah, for bringing this up. So Photoshop costs $9.99 per month. I have a link to the exact bundle that you'll want to get, because unfortunately, Adobe does not allow you to buy Photoshop just by itself. So it's a Photoshop Lightroom combo, and I'll probably do a quick tour of Lightroom. We won't be using it for the class, but it's kind of fun to do quick edits for photographs. So you'll need that. You'll want to have a external hard drive if possible, like highly recommend, because Photoshop files can get pretty big. So 1 terabyte or higher is what I recommend. You'll want to have a desktop or laptop and a wireless mouse at the very minimum, just because trying to use a trackpad with Photoshop, some people do it, it's like crazy pants. It's really tricky. Like I would not recommend doing it that way. And then as far as tablets go, I was just sharing what I have is a Wacom Intuos Pro, but this is not necessary for the course. I did not start out using one. I've gotten one, like this is a newer purchase of only the past year for myself, just because of how often I'm in Photoshop and how often I'm editing photos or my artwork. So that's what I personally use, but you don't have to get one for the class. So to recap, you need Photoshop, you need a mouse, computer. Oh yes, you need a scanner or a smartphone camera. So if you have a smartphone camera, which most of the cameras on smartphones are pretty good nowadays, that'll work just fine. If you have a scanner like on your printer, that will work too, because we need a way to capture the art so we can get it into Photoshop. Any
And then
other?
are you gonna,
Okay.
I'm gonna ask another one. Are you gonna, so will you, like, if people have never used Photoshop or anything like it, are you going to kind of have like basic intro to Photoshop as part of the class? Or are you kind of
Yes.
expecting people to have a little bit of a knowledge on that?
Nope. This is like, you can open up Photoshop for the very, very first time in this class and you will be able to be, I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to go through Photoshop, and it's beginner 100%.
And you'll have links to all the stuff that they need prior,
Yeah.
because I think it might take some people a bit of time and money to gather, you know, what they need for the class. And so do you have like links up already for that in your information on Mighty Networks?
Yeah, in Mighty Networks, the first lesson for week 1 is available, and in there it shows like basically week 1 is I'm trying to make sure everyone has everything that they need. So it has a link to Photoshop, like where to get it for the $9.99. I can link up a external hard drive that will work if that's easier instead of searching. But yeah, everything that you need, all of the requirements. Photoshop has their own specific, like, make sure that your computer can handle Photoshop requirements, and I've linked that over there too. So everything that you need should be there. I'm also going to be adding in the syllabus too in there. So people can have a better idea of like what we're going through each week. And yeah, does that answer your question?
Okay, I'm so excited. Like my son is signed up for this class, but I'm totally going to take it with him.
Oh, you should. It will be so good. It will be so good. In fact, I'm going to attach right now in the chat the syllabus so you guys can take a look. See if I can do it. Yep, that's what I wanted. Okay, here we go. And I was just saying earlier, Sarah, I don't know if you caught this or if you were here for that or not, but this syllabus, it can change because if we need to take a little bit more time in an area, then we're going to do that. And if we need to move on a little quicker, then I want to be able to accommodate the classroom, but this will give you a good idea. So if anyone wants to take a look at that, download it, print it off, hang it up on your wall, whatever you need to do. And I'll also put this in Mighty Networks. Anyone else have any questions? Comments?
So, I missed the first couple minutes too. So I don't know if you've talked about this, but is there like any special like pens or pencils or like art supplies that we need?
That's a great question. So what do you like to create with? Whatever you like to create with, that's what you need.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Anyone else?
Do you have any recommended online art programs? Like, I mean, a drawing program for if you have a drawing tablet.
So what kind of drawing tablet do you have?
I think it's a Gammon, but instead of it has the screen built in, but it does also hook up to my laptop.
It should be able to hook up to Photoshop as well. I'm not super familiar with that brand specifically, but I think if you search, they might have a drawing program specific for them, but I'll also do some research and see if I can find something that would work for you, Anna.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyone else? I am here to answer your questions. Okay. Transferring this art to the Cricut cutter. Okay. Angela, that is a great question. Does anyone else here, is anyone else curious about how to transfer art to a Cricut? You know, those cutting machines? Well, I will actually be doing a mini lesson on how to transfer the art to a Cricut. If you want to be able to turn your art into stickers, which is how I turn my art into stickers. So that'll be a little mini one. You don't need a Cricut. Like this is only like an extra, just so you know how to do it, lesson that I'll be doing later, but you don't need to have a Cricut. Okay, the course begins. I don't want to give you the wrong date here. Let me just look it up. So are you guys all familiar with the reverse classroom model that Dr. Pablo has brought up before? Are you guys familiar with that? No? Okay. So I really like this way of teaching. So the reverse classroom model is that you will get access to a lesson first, and then the following week, we're going to discuss it. So that way you come prepared and you know what to expect, and we can be ready for discussion. I can answer your questions and all of that. So this relates to your question, Bonnie, I promise. Let me just pull this up here. You know, there's a lot of things going on with back to school. So I want to make sure I give you the right date. So with the reverse classroom model, that means that week 1 is already available, whether you're signed up for the class or not. And the first day that we're going to meet to talk about week 1 is going to be on August 28th. Sorry, August 29th, because that's a Tuesday. August 29th. So for all of Well-Educated Heart Academy, we'll meet the week of the 28th, but you should have already watched week 1. So it'll just follow that. So then the first week that we're meeting, the 29th, then you will have week 2's lesson. So then you can watch it and do all that. And then we're going to talk about it the following week. So if you need to access the calendar, if you go to Mighty Networks, there's a section that says info and links. And if you click on that, they have the yearly calendar. They have the weekly schedule up, tuition information, and things like that. Any other questions? You can put it in the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself, or if you can't. Or you can unmute yourself. You're welcome, Bonnie. Are you guys excited? Yay. Oh yeah, I see some cheering. Woohoo! I'm excited too. You are so welcome. Okay. If anyone has any questions after this, if you just think of something, you can message me on Mighty Networks anytime, and I'm happy to answer your questions. And I'll be sure to add links to the specific external hard drive, so you guys can take a look and just order it if that's what you want to do. And I'll even link up my specific Wacom tablet. Again, this is kind of pricey. I would say this is only for someone who's like gonna be doing art maybe semi-professionally, or is like really into art. Like this is like a special kind of extra thing, but I'll maybe link up some other options if you want to do a tablet. All right, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to get to know you guys, and yay, we'll talk to you soon. Oh, hold on. If my student cannot attend class for whatever reason, yes, all the lessons or all of our live Zoom will be recorded, and then it'll be uploaded into Mighty Networks. So Yeah, you won't miss a thing. Do you get to share work with each other? Yes, that is actually a big part of what we're doing when we meet together. I want everyone to be able to share. And then especially as we get to the critique portion, then for sure, we're going to be able to share. Thank you for that question, Andrea. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited and I will talk to you. Oh, nope, not another question. Okay, I will talk to you later. Bye.